welcome to The Bite. My name is Jackie. Today we're going to be making some delicious lettuce wraps or lettuce cups. I was inspired by True Food Kitchen yet again to make these, and it's really simple. I am fasting right now for Lent, so I'm not eating any animal products, so no meat and no dairy, so this is a really good way to use lots of vegetables. In this time of self-quarantining, I want to make sure that I'm still getting fresh vegetables in, even though that means limiting my trips to the grocery store. I want to make sure that my body gets the nutrients that it needs, and I really want to emphasize that to you, my viewers, as well. Along with that note, if you hear some noise outside, it's because we are getting our house pressure washed. We want to support local businesses who are struggling and during this time, and I encourage you to do the same, whether that be through restaurants or any other home improvement things that you could be doing to support anybody local would be awesome. So while you're here, I would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel so you can see a lot more really cool quarantine type cooking videos. And without further ado, let's get into the ingredients. So this is pretty much the basis for them. I have lots of mushrooms. This looks like a lot, and it is, but it's gonna cook down as we know mushrooms do. I have some tofu, some water chestnuts, carrots, grated fresh ginger and garlic, and then in here for the sauce I have hoisin, soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, and a little bit of mirin. So just in case you don't have all these ingredients on hand, which may not happen, let me give you some substitutes. Mushrooms, you could always use meat if you have meat in the freezer. Water chestnuts, these are actually canned, so they are a pantry staple. I actually don't really use these very often, but jicama is a really good option if you want to substitute or just leave them out entirely, or even celery would be a good choice. Tofu, same thing, you can leave it out. These are both kind of like that meaty source for us during this time, and we're just going to crisp up the tofu, but again, you can substitute for meat. The carrots, pretty standard. And then as far as the mirin, you don't have to use it. Hoisin, you can substitute for oyster sauce. There's a lot of substitutes. You can always message me on Instagram if you have questions about how to substitute things in my recipes. So we're gonna head to the stove and start cooking these up. So I'm starting with a pan on medium-high heat, and you want it to be medium-high so that you can develop that crisp edge on all of your veggies and the tofu. And I added some neutral oil. I'm using vegetable oil, but you can also use like avocado oil. And I'm gonna start by adding the tofu. And you wanna be pretty delicate with this. So I just wanna get them into a single layer as best as I can. There's little pieces of the mushroom on there if you're wondering what those little things are. I got them into a single layer as best as possible. If you move them around too much, you can risk breaking them apart. And I want them to stay in these little dices because it's going to, like I said, kind of resemble that, the look of meat, as if you were to have really small pieces of like chicken or something. So I want to keep them on here and stir them occasionally, but I also have my tongs here because what we're gonna be doing is flipping them, and once you start to see a golden color develop on the bottom, then they're ready to be flipped. So the tofu is done, they're nice and crispy, and now back to here, I'm gonna add a little bit more oil to my pan and add all the mushrooms. And what's gonna happen with the mushrooms is they release their water first. You let that water evaporate, and then they can get brown and crisp edges, which will go really well on our lettuce wrap. Mushrooms are looking good. They're nice and golden and crispy. So I'm going to remove these, and we'll start cooking the carrots. I added a little bit more oil, and now we're going to just add the carrots. Let these kind of caramelize a little bit, and then we'll add everything back in. So the carrots have caramelized after a couple of minutes. I'm going to add in the water chestnuts. Quickly stir that around a bit. Sit for like 30 seconds, let them get nice and toasty, and I'm gonna add in all the ginger and the garlic. Okay, I'm gonna add my tofu and mushrooms right back in. Just give everything a quick toss. At this point, I'm gonna lower the heat to medium, and I'm going to add in my sauce, but I wanna kind of quickly mix it first. Okay, so it's ready to be added in. And the reason I removed it from the heat at that point was because the sauce, the hoisin in particular has sugar, and I don't want the sugar to burn. I want it to still have kind of like that saucy texture without caramelizing the sauce too much. So this is good, and we're gonna get our lettuce ready. We're ready to eat. I did cut up some fresh herbs. I used cilantro and some green onions. If you don't have them, don't use them. If you have dried, you can totally use that as well. Otherwise, this is a really just by itself, great way to get some fresh vegetables in. So this is looking really good and beautiful. And like I said, I did want to take it off the heat so it can kind of remain saucy. I mean, you can see that it's still juicy at the bottom. If I had left it on the heat for any longer, the sugars in the hoisin sauce would burn, and it would totally just change the flavor altogether. So just be mindful of that when you're making this. I am just going to put these in individual lettuce cups just like this. And you can totally serve this over rice. That's how my daughter likes it, over ruz. That's how you say rice in Arabic, ruz. She likes it with rice. So that's what she's gonna be having for lunch today. And because this is going on lettuce wraps, you can put it on a salad too. It's a really great addition to get some protein in your salad if you have leftovers. So I'm gonna plate mine up, and I have like a wonky piece of lettuce right here, so I'm just gonna eat that one for myself. I have some sesame seeds. My daughter's allergic, so I am just going to put them on me and my husband's. And then I'm also gonna top all of these off with some cilantro, including mine. Okay, I'm ready to take a bite. Nobody said quarantine cooking has to be dull and boring. Pantry staples are great, and you can use that and add fresh ingredients to make something delicious just like this. Carrots and celery are really great in the fridge. They last a long time. Mushrooms don't have that aspect, so if you do get mushrooms, make sure you use them within a few days so that they don't go bad. And implement the substitutes that I mentioned. I might have something in my mouth, on the side of my mouth. This is so good, you guys. I hope you give it a try. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more, and follow me on Instagram to get loads of other things that I'm cooking throughout this social distancing period that we're going through right now. So I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on The Bite.